This is my new standing desk. It lets me switch between sitting and standing multiple times a day, because too much of anything is a bad thing. Hi, I'm David, and this is the AnthroDesk, an electric sit-stand desk. So just to clarify up front, these are desk legs from AnthroDesk, with an IKEA tabletop, but I'll go into that in more detail later. But first, let's look at the operation of the desk. This is the controller, and it's as simple as pressing up or down to move the desk. There are also 4 memory buttons that can be programmed to specific heights by clicking and holding the button for a couple seconds. And now every time you press that memory button, the desk will revert back to that height. Super simple. And I definitely prefer having an electric desk with these memory buttons. While it might not be necessary for everyone's workflow, for me it makes the experience seamlessly repeatable. Which is important to me because I want to make this a habit to regularly switch between sitting and standing pretty much hourly. And while I personally only need 2 memory buttons, having 4 is great if you have another person also using the desk. I also like that the LED numbers will turn off after 30 seconds on its own, but one thing I do find a little annoying is that I can't wake it back up with the memory buttons alone. But instead I need to press the up or down button first to wake it up. The speed of the motor is nice and fast, so switching from sitting to standing height takes just 10 seconds, or from the minimum to maximum height, it takes about 17 seconds. The motor is also strong enough to support up to 220 pounds, so I really haven't had any issues with weight support. The motor is pretty smooth, but I wouldn't call it quiet. I don't have a problem with the motor noise since it's really not that loud and is pretty quick, but if you're in quieter environments, the noise from the motor and the gears are definitely noticeable to anyone nearby. Final thing to note is that the motor and the crossbar are exposed, and cable management is still something I need to figure out, so it's not the cleanest underneath the desk, but those are just cosmetic complaints and have no real impact to day-to-day usage. Height support is another thing to consider with electric standing desks, not just in the standing position, but even in the sitting. This desk has a pretty standard range compared to other electric desks that should fit most adults with a 69cm to 117cm range for the legs, not including the tabletop thickness. But for me, I guess I'm a little shorter than most, so it's a little tall for me even at the lowest height. But that's really an issue I have with most tables, so unfortunately I'll still need a footrest with this desk. In terms of build quality, I find this desk very solid at my standing height, and while there's a little wobble at its maximum height, it's not to be unexpected with such a tall desk unless you get a more expensive 4-legged standing desk. But honestly, I don't see it being an issue for most people unless you're sensitive to wobble. The assembly process for the legs is pretty quick and really shows the solid construction of the desk. You can easily expand or reduce the spread of the legs with a couple screws to accommodate different tabletop lengths. And while you could purchase a top from AnthroDesk directly, I went with the IKEA Linmon tabletop and attached it with these screws, so you have that flexibility. So that's the AnthroDesk. Overall, I think it's a really solid solution for someone who needs an electric sit-stand desk. The transition from sitting to standing and back again is completely seamless with a strong, quick motor and simple memory controller. While I wish it could go down a little shorter for my height, this may not be a problem for most people, but be sure to check your own height requirements. Otherwise, it's a great solution for me to get out of the habit of sitting all day long. I guess the next thing I need to do is put together the rest of my computer setup, but I hope you guys enjoyed this one. You know what to do, and I'll see you in the next video.